It's Saturday morning, 29th of June 2024, and we are at Point Lowly near Whyalla in South Australia, where we're going for a snorkel with the giant Australian cuttlefish. I can't remember what the air temperature was, but the water temperature was about 13 to 14 degrees Celsius, which is 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'll need boots, gloves, a full wetsuit, a hood, everything to try and keep yourself warm, but it's totally worth it. The shallowest areas are bare rocks without any algae or seaweed growing on them because the rocks get exposed by the tide and smashed by the waves. But even in shallow water, less than 2 meters deep, you'll start to see some cuttlefish. It's mostly cuttlefish, but it's not only cuttlefish. And one of the first things I saw on this snorkel was a southern eagle ray. And this one was happy enough just to sit around for a portrait. As you get a bit deeper, you'll start to see more algae on the rocks and you'll start to see more cuttlefish. Once you get out into a depth of about 3 meters or 10 feet deep, you'll start to see cuttlefish just about all over the place. If you're on the surface or in a glass bottom boat, it looks something like this. You can just swim along, look for the cuttlefish, and at this point the game is just cruising around and looking for where you see some action, some cuttlefish doing something different or something interesting that catches your eye, and then in my case you dive down and turn on the GoPro and see what sort of footage you can get. Most of the action here is related to how the males interact with each other when they're trying to breed. There's 2 big males in this one here. Males are a bit like blokes, they're all about big arms. So you see they've got massive arms and they puff themselves up to look as big as possible. Quite often if you look closely you'll see the female. In this case she's on the right underneath that rock and she's got 3 big males around her posturing. One of them trying to block off the other 2 males from getting too close to her because she's hiding just under that ledge there. Quite often underwater footage looks better slowed down a little bit. It helps the camera to be steady and see what's going on. So a lot of this footage is slowed down by about 50%, and you can hear that in the soundtrack of the crackling too. This is again 3 males and 1 female, but this is one of my favourite little moments. Here comes the female, she's coming up in the middle, and right now she sees me and just swivels her head around and puts the little eyebrows up and turns on the brown camouflage colour. So she's just seen me pop up there and she's got a surprise. She's looking right at me now saying what's going on here, and she's put a bit of her camouflage colours on. I had to go up to the surface to breathe, but now I'm back down to the same 4 cuttlefish. You can see the female there right at the front. She's relaxed now again. She's gone back to normal coloration and she's snooping around, just looking under the various rocks, seeing if there's a good place to lay eggs. The 1 big male is sitting right on top of her, and in the background the other 2 males are still having a go at each other. And you can see that awesome sort of strobing zebra stripes that the big male at the back is flashing just on that one side of his body that's facing towards the other male there. So it's really clever how they can do it. It's not the whole body, it's just that one side, and he'll put on his big zebra stripes. They'll both extend their arms as long as they can and they'll just puff away at each other. After all the showing off comes the copulation, and there's 2 cuttlefish mating here. Male with his arms usually wrapped around the outside of the female's head, and he will pass the sperm packet across to her while they are in this embrace. Mostly the other cuttlefish seem to leave him alone at this point, and you just see the couples around the place without other males interfering. What comes after that is the hardest part to film. Like, the female will find a space underneath a rock somewhere to attach her eggs to the rock, like hanging from the ceiling of the ledge. But it's really hard to find a way in to film any of that. I think that's probably what's happening here. There's a big male here guarding the entrance to that crack, and behind behind it, if you look carefully, you can see a female in there. But to get your camera and lights in under these little rock holes and film the egg laying, I've found quite difficult so far. Watch this male change colour as I get too close. See it? Turn brown, bumps, yeah, I'm going to replay it. Turns brown, bumps go up all over his skin, little eyebrows stick up above his head. He goes into camouflage mode as he's not sure what I'm doing. The female doesn't, but that's because he's got one arm over each of her eyes. So I don't think she can see anything at the moment. So she stays normal coloration and he goes into camouflage mode. This golden camouflage mode is my favourite of colour scheme of all the cuttlefish up there. You'll often see them when they're hanging around, not with other cuttlefish, they'll just go into this camouflage mode and sit in the weed. But look at the little eyebrows that stick up on the top of the head and the bumps all over the back. They'll sort of crinkle up the arms at the front and then they'll just sort of sit around in the weed. This fella here was just fantastic. I dove down and up to the surface 3 times filming this guy. He went into camouflage mode. Look at his eyebrows, and he's crinkled up his tentacles. But he didn't move, he didn't back off, so I just kept going up to the surface, having a breath, come down and filming him again. He was just such a beautiful colour, and just so happy just to sit right in front of my camera, even with all the lights on it. You can see here he's relaxed a little bit now. The bumps have gone off his skin and his eyebrows have disappeared. Now he knows that I'm not really a threat, so he's just going to sit there and let me film him. It's interesting, and you can see from my filming, I'm using a wide angle lens and I am right up close to these cuttlefish. And really most of the time they just keep on with their business, even when the snorkelers and divers are around. In this case, there's the female there down by the rock, and there's 2 big males posturing around. And even with 2 snorkelers, one with bright lights and the other close on the other side looking, the males just stay right there. Most of the time the cuttlefish just move around by undulating those fins along the side of their body. But they also have the siphon underneath, which is their little jet propulsion, and they can twist that around in any direction. You can see it just under his arms there. He's using both his fins and there's the siphon to push himself along. You really see it if they want to back off in a hurry. So there's a cuttlefish here. I've got straight down and swum straight up into his face. So he's looking at me, he's like, what are you doing? Coming right up to me. And then at this point now I've got too close, whoosh, there's the siphon. You see the water jetting out of it and he starts to back away. Don't let yourself get too cold. Once you start to feel the cold, it's time to jump out and warm up for a while. If you do come up here to have a bit of a snorkel, try and pick it on a day when you've got a northerly wind. This is a south facing coast, so if there's a northerly wind it'll be nice and calm in the shallows and you have the best chance for good visibility. Good luck.